All right, so today I have the pleasure of being joined by a good friend of mine and a current BC men's basketball player, Chase Forte. Chase just finished his graduate student year at Boston College on the BC men's basketball team. He'll be graduating from BC this May with a master's in sports administration. Chase grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and planned a very excellent college basketball journey, which I'm going to love to obviously hear more about his journey, and you guys will get to hear some of his thoughts on his journey as well. But just to give a quick breakdown, he played high school basketball at Word of God Christian Academy in North Carolina. He walked onto the team at UNC Asheville, then transferred to a junior college at Gulf Coast State in Florida, and then played for Northwestern State, the University of South Dakota, and Boston College. Chase, an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today, my friend. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. I'm thankful you took the time, which I know we talked about in the office over the last probably couple weeks, that would find a time to make this happen. And I know you obviously got a lot going on with training and stuff and getting ready for the next step of your career. So much appreciated with you taking the time to do this. I'll start off with my first question. Where did your love for the game of basketball begin?
I began at a young age. I mean, I remember my parents talking about me having like little mini basketball at the age of like three, just like just holding it and just always walking around with it. So I feel like my love for the game has always been there pretty much since like a toddler. I didn't really start playing competitive until like about the age of like 7 or 8. But as far as the love for the game, I feel like I've always loved it.
Mhm. Absolutely. You started at a young age, then obviously you love it even more, especially if you're going to play in college. You got to really, really love the game because it's a grind, practice wise, games wise, travel wise. And you obviously did that. And you had a terrific college basketball career, like I already noted. And one thing I want to ask you is which part of your skill set of your game do you think stands out most as a player?
Definitely my defense. I feel like that's like the one thing that stands out the most. Just being an energetic player, just doing the little stuff, taking the charge, getting over the screens, getting steals, just stuff like that. I feel like that's like the best part of my game.
hmm I would agree. I think, and this is an underrated part of your game, and I want to hear your thoughts on what the most underrated part of your game is. But I think your defense, obviously, you bring a lot of intensity to the lineup. And I know this year you started some games, you came off the bench some games. It didn't matter what situation you were in. You brought energy, you brought defense, you brought hustle, and that's something that every team could use. Doesn't matter what college, doesn't matter what level. Every team could use that truly. And obviously, that's something you showcased at BC. And I had the pleasure of watching at you guys had 17 or 18 home games this year. I was at 15 of them courtside, right? So I got to see
Mhm.
obviously that in
Yeah.
action, hustle. I think the most underrated part of your game is your passing. Your
Yes.
ability to drive and kick it out. I think it's something which sometimes might not show up in the stat sheet, right? If you kick it out and have a great pass and somebody misses a shot, it doesn't show up as an assist. But there are a lot of the times now I'm like, wow, Chase created an open shot for somebody around him. I think that's the most underrated part of your game. What would you say, in your opinion, is the most underrated skill in your game?
Literally that. I feel like coming from USD last year, I put up a lot of scoring numbers, and a lot of people thought like I was just like a scorer and just a defender. But no, just like what you said, I feel like my playmaking is really really underrated, especially after this year. Like what you said, you can set a guy up, and they necessarily might not hit a shot, so it doesn't go down the stat sheet. But I feel like you were spot on with that as far as like my playmaking being the most underrated part of my game.
Mhm. I think it also is your ability to have court vision, right? When you're driving, and I know a lot this season, you drive, get under the basket, and then wrap around the defender and get a pass out. Just to know a guy's going to be open over there in the corner is really impressive. And I think a lot of those things, I know you're trying to play at the next level, those things show up. Whether or not the guy finishes the shot or whatnot, that might happen, it might not. But at the end of the day, your ability to look for other guys and find open shots is very impressive. And I think that's something that the next level, whatever scouts are, looking at you, are definitely going to see that in your game. And I do want to ask, and I know you played in the John Wall Invitational Tournament, right? And you were you on his team at one point? I know you said you had a relationship with John Wall.
Yes, I played AAU with him, and then he went to the high school obviously before I went there, but we both went to Word of God.
Gotcha. That's really cool just to have obviously connection with him. And he's a guy that obviously had a very successful career at the next level. So just to be able to know him and bounce ideas off him and get, advice, playing wise is really impressive. It's something that you should definitely obviously cherish. And I'm sure you do. And that brings me to my next question. Which player do you think you model your game most after?
Probably him. Maybe like a little bit more like a Drew Holiday or Pat Bev, like players like that who are good two-way guards who try to get everyone involved, and then like just can space the floor a little bit. So yeah, that's who I kind of model my game after, and who I will try to be at the next level.
hmm Absolutely. Those are some great players you mentioned right there. And I think my comp is going to be Drew Holiday. That was one of them I was going to mention. And also Chris Dunn. I think
Hmm,
Chris Dunn's defense, the energy he brings each and every game, doesn't matter the situation, doesn't matter his matchup. Every single game he's out there, you got to be ready if you're on offense, obviously, to protect the ball. And that's something when you're going up against somebody, whoever's on the other side with the ball has to be ready, obviously, and be careful with the ball because you're going to steal it and go right down the court, you know?
for
So
sure,
I'd say those two guys, and I do like, the John Wall comparison as well. You bring a lot of speed to your game, and that's something I'm going to get to talk about, your conditioning, because your ability to run down the court and bring speed on both ends of the floor is really impressive. And obviously, if you get to the next level, right, and you're playing in college basketball like you did, you got to be able to push the floor and get out in transition, and that's something you definitely did do over your college career. So I do want to ask, out of all the stops you made in your college career, which college would you say was the highlight for you?
Um, I'd say it's honestly a tie between here and USD. We had a couple big games where we won at USD the same way where we had here. It didn't end the same. I feel like obviously we had a better record at USD, but here we did beat some rival teams. Like we beat Notre Dame at home, we beat Syracuse at home. We had a really fun, exciting win against Wake Forest at the buzzer from Aiden. So yeah, I'd say like the highlights are definitely top.
Yeah, that play obviously Aiden Shaw had was very impressive and was one that, was a great win because at the end of that game, Wake Forest had a big shot, right, to take the lead. And it was
Mhm.
like, oh, this game's, slipping out of our hands. And then lo and behold, Aiden Shaw finds the ball, right off the rim or off the backboard off of a Fred Payne shot. And that was an electric win, an electric moment. And I know obviously this year didn't go the way that, you guys planned and you wanted. And that's just how things go sometimes in basketball, right? The way the ball bounces. But what I loved about this team this year is how much energy you guys brought each game. Doesn't matter the matchup, doesn't matter the situation. And then also how much you guys loved each other. You could see there was a juice and a connection between each of the players, each of the coaches. There was a genuine love in that locker room among the guys. Would you agree with that?
For sure, definitely genuine love. I mean, even now we still talk about all the stuff that happened throughout the season, and then like as far as like the new coach coming in, how guys feel about it. So yeah, we all love each other and we all got along. And then to go back to that the highlight, I also mentioned the Notre Dame game for senior night. That was a really electric win. I honestly wish Syracuse would have took care of business so we would have made the ACC tournament, but yeah, that was a really exciting win, and yeah, that was like almost the perfect way to go out. I mean, I went out my senior year with a win, which most people don't get to do. So
And a senior win that you played a big role in winning that game. You had, I think it was 14 points, a couple big steals, some really nice assists. You had a couple threes that game. Like you went out on a very high note. And obviously you wish, you made the ACC tournament, you would add, another chance for the team to make a run. But at the end of the day, there was a lot to be impressed with in that win there. And if that's the way you go out in your college career, that's not a bad way, right? You go out a winner at the end of the day. And I
for
know what
sure,
you mean. I think with this team, there was a lot of love. And this is from a fan's perspective, right? I work at BC, obviously, but when I'm at the games, I'm working sometimes. I'm going as a fan too a lot of the time. And I could see, just from a fan's perspective, there was, a connection between you guys and a brotherhood at the end of the day. And whether or not, you got the wins that you wanted, I know you guys wish you won more games. You look at this season all around, a lot of guys made progress, right? Like you
for
had
sure,
a very good year both ways. And I think when you got more opportunities to shoot the ball and score, you were putting up better numbers scoring, right? I know some games you'd go in and you'd only take a couple shots, and then other games you'd get more looks, right? And get more shot attempts. And you're putting up threes, which was great. And I know some guys took steps up. Fred Payne took a great step up this year. Kapke was awesome this year, right? And I know DJ and a couple other guys as well had good years. I know DJ battled some injuries, which was tough. But there was a lot about this season that, even though it might not be showing up in the win-loss record, there was a lot of progress with a lot of players on this team this year. Would you agree with that?
for sure. Definitely a lot of progress. I feel like we got better. Almost, I mean, if you really look at it every game, I feel like we were starting to gel as a team, especially that last win. I feel like that last win kind of like was going to give us momentum going into the ACC tournament. Oh, people probably think I'm crazy after saying this, but I honestly think we would have made a run. I'm not saying we would have won it all, but I think we would have probably stole a couple games on a neutral site. where if we were in Pitt situation, we would have played Stanford first, which I mean, we were right there with Stanford at home. Um, really honestly should have won. I mean, a kid made three hook shots back to back for us to like kind of lose that game. And then we played NC State at home also. And playing them on a neutral court, I feel like we would have had a good chance at them. I mean, we only lost to them by 6 points too. Same situation. A kid we didn't expect to have a great game ended up having a great game. So
Mhm.
and on top
Yeah,
of it, it's hard to beat a team twice. So yeah, like what I was saying, I feel like that last game we were really starting to gel and come together as a team and as a unit.
mhm.
So yeah, but everyone made progress. Everyone like even if they started the year kind of off, like even with Fred, he started the year kind of off, but look what happened towards the back end of the season. After I mean really after Central Connecticut, he was averaging I think like 16 plus or 17 plus. So yeah, everyone had major jumps. I mean even Luca had a major jump this year. Jaden played much better. Aiden was showing progression over the year. DJ was battling injuries, but still, showing up, playing better each game. So yeah, the kudos to all those guys. And like what I said, we're still a family. We still talk about it. So I'm excited to see like how their future what their future awaits.
Absolutely. And like you said too, it's nice that you guys stay in touch, obviously, and you still talk about those games because at the end of the day, too, right? Like everything's so new, right? It's a month now. The season's been over with, a few weeks. There's already a new coach coming in, right? There's a lot of change, but there's a lot to reflect on, of good, from this past season. And I think, like you said, the progression of those guys, Luka Taves was amazing. His progression, right? His shot creating, obviously took a major step up this year. Hastings was great, really took a step up defensively, I would say, this past year. Aiden Shaw's athleticism, that's something that shows up every given night, whether it's a big rebound, a big block, a big dunk. DJ, obviously, like you said, battles injuries, but still a very good shot creator, gets to the bucket, always will get to the free throw line, which is something that a lot of teams need. Teams need guys who can get to the free throw line and slow a game down and obviously take control, right? When you're driving down the lane and you're aggressive like DJ is, you're going to get to the line, hold the other team accountable, get guys in foul trouble. That's important. Fred Payne's scoring was great this year. And I think your ability too, which, like I already mentioned, your ability to shot create for other guys was amazing this year. Truly, right? You're driving, you're kicking it out. And I think more in that second half of the season when you play a lot of those ACC games, and those are some tough opponents, right? You guys had a tough schedule this year and you were in a lot of games, right? You were right there in crunch time in a lot of games. You had a lot of opportunities in that second half of that season where you were out there, right, in crunch time, making big plays. Like that Notre Dame game,
Yes.
you had a big steal in the last few minutes. And the same thing, if I remember correctly, it might have been the Pittsburgh game. You had a really good
Yeah.
steal in the last few minutes. So, or
Yeah.
Syracuse, you had to stay on the last minute. So there was a lot of
Oh,
progression from this
Syracuse.
team.
Yeah, Pitt. The three. Yep.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So you had some big moments. You did. So there's a lot, obviously at the end of the day where I know you guys probably look back and like, oh, I wish we won that game or this, but that's all in the past. But at the end of the day, there is a lot, to be proud of from this year. And now it leads me to my next question. What was your experience like playing for Earl Grant? Earl's a guy that I have the utmost respect for. Earl's a guy I've always enjoyed talking to. Very respectful, down to earth person, and I'm wishing him all the best with everything in the future. Earl's a guy I've always loved chatting with, and I think higher of Earl than anybody. Truly, like Earl is the best dude around. But what was your experience like playing for him?
Oh, it was a great experience. Obviously the outcome wasn't what we wanted. The result wasn't what we wanted. But as far as coaching, as far as life lessons, one of the best coaches I've ever played for. He's a big energy guy, and you need energy guys, especially in your corner. So, really loved playing for him. I really loved getting coached by him. He also incorporates God in a lot of our meetings and practices, which is something that's way beyond bigger than basketball that I'll forever appreciate. So yeah, it was an honor. It was a pleasure playing for him.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and he was a guy that obviously brought energy and whether it was during the game, in the videos, afterwards, like when you guys beat Syracuse and he stepped on the orange, like those are
Yep.
great moments. You could see he brought a lot of energy and you guys very much respected him and loved him, right? And you could see that after, they BC decided to let him go, most of the team put pictures on their story on Instagram saying,
For sure.
love you, Earl, and thank you for everything. So you could see there was a lot of respect from you guys and a lot of love for him. And obviously, he's a guy that, recruited you, right? When you were in the
Mhm.
transfer portal coming out of South Dakota, obviously he got on the phone with you and you guys got in touch and you obviously ended up coming to BC. So he obviously sold you on BC and got you over here. What was that like when you were in the transfer portal leaving South Dakota? I'm sure you had a lot of different coaches calling you, emailing you, trying to meet you in person and all that. What was that experience like?
It was honestly surreal, to be honest. The coaches that I've actually heard from when I was in the portal last year, like starting off as a walk on and then hearing from like coaches at the high major level was always a surreal feeling. And it's actually crazy that Luke Murray got the job because I was getting recruited by him last year around this time. It's insane. So the fact that he's the head coach now is crazy. But yeah, it was surreal. Obviously, I decided to go with BC. I was thinking when I did commit here, I was thinking about basketball, but also about off the court stuff too. Like people don't even realize how well people do probably, but they have to realize that BC academics is top tier. Like it's top tier, and so not only in your investing in your basketball career or whatever sport you play, you're also investing in your life long term. So when I committed here, I knew this is the place I wanted to be. I was super grateful for the opportunity, and I mean now looking back at it, seeing all these guys, how their future's gonna look like, and seeing how it goes down the year, it just makes me excited for it. But yeah, that's how that process went between the portal last year.
And BC is definitely grateful to have you, truly, right? And like I said, right, it was a pleasure watching you play, a guy that brings energy every given night. And that's why it's not shocking to me. You had a lot of different schools, including obviously Murray as well. And he was at UConn, right? Who right now is in the Final Four. There were a lot of schools interested in you because you bring that energy right off the bench in the starting lineup, whatever it may be. So, I'm not shocked you were very highly regarded in the portal, and I'm glad BC was able to land you because if BC didn't, right, who knows where we'd be today, right? We wouldn't be having this conversation probably. So, I'm thankful, obviously, I had the pleasure of watching you play at BC, and that leads to my next question: what was it like playing in the ACC? Compared to the other conferences you played in, and we'll start obviously after we stop talking about BC. I'll jump back to your start of you being at UNC Asheville, but what was that experience like playing the ACC?
It's a obviously it's a step higher. It's not. I wouldn't say there's like any huge differences. A lot of the players that were like um pretty much award winners in my last conference all went high major. They all took jumps up. So those group of guys kind of knew what to expect coming to a higher level. But that's another feeling that's surreal too. Like I grew up in North Carolina around Duke, UNC, NC State. So playing in Cameron was literally like probably like the highlight of my life for honestly. Yeah, and then playing in Louisville, playing in Miami, playing at home. I mean, beating Syracuse, like what I said, we beat rivals. We beat Syracuse. We beat Notre Dame. So winning a rivalry game at home is a surreal feeling. So it was awesome. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. And yeah, I mean that's how I feel about that.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, that Syracuse game was an electric win. I would say the best game I've seen at BC. And I went to games my whole life, honestly, at least one or two a year, and a lot more over the last 7 years. I was a student as an undergrad and then for grad school as well. And now I work there. I went to so many games at BC growing up. And that win against Syracuse is one of the most special games I've seen there. The electric environment. And there were a lot of Syracuse fans, right?
Yeah,
They traveled
that's
well to
for
be able to
sure.
send them out, quiet with a big win, especially in the fashion BC one, right? DJ hitting that big time three, obviously winning in overtime too. Like there are a lot of special moments in that game, right? And I'm so glad, proud of you guys getting that W. DJ tied the game, right? With like, was it 5 seconds
Yeah,
to go or something?
we were down seven with actually 2 minutes or a minute to have to go. So a lot of people like the Syracuse fans were happy. Carmelo was on the sideline thinking they were about to get a win, and then we ended up coming back and we drew up a play for DJ to come off of flare and then come back. We called it a Ralph, and yeah, he hit the game tying three for us to go into overtime, and then we pretty much just took over from there.
Mhm. Yeah, it was great, great play design there by Earl. It was. You got a great look. And DJ obviously made it in a big moment right there. And there was another great play too. I think it was against Pittsburgh where Bowden Cappy had the game-winning three. And that was
Yes.
another play out of a timeout, with a chance to either tie the game or win the game, where BC came up clutch in that, in that big moment right there at home, getting a win at Conti Forum, a conference win, which is never easy to do on the road or at home. It's not easy to win games in the ACC. Winning in those terrific fashions at home is obviously special. And I remember after that Pittsburgh game, you and Fred Payne were running over to the student section, fist bumping people. You came over to my mom and dad. They were psyched. And you obviously got to meet them on senior day, which was awesome, and be able to chat with them. And they're big time fans of you, big time fans of the BC men's basketball program. So just to be able to meet you was an honor for them. And I always appreciated how much Earl Grant and his staff, players, coaches, Earl himself, how much they respect the fans and anybody around. Truly, like you guys have the best of people there in that department, with Earl's guys, all his assistants, Coach Steve Smith, great guy, Donnie Abrams, obviously, great guy. So you guys do had a great, set of people there with you, and I'm hoping the same continues with Luke Murray, where they have that same, group of people that are down to earth, good people, just like Earl had here at BC. And that'll bring me to my next question. What are your expectations moving forward now with Luke Murray as the new head coach?
Oh, I feel as though he would do great. He's kind of already in the area. I mean, UConn, Boston. I mean, not really too far away. Like what, an hour and a half, maybe two. So he should be familiar with the area. He's a great coach. I mean, He's in his third Final Four in 4 years, which is highly impressive. Whether you're the head coach, associate, all the way down to the walk-ons, like that's super impressive. So yeah, I mean honestly I expect great things from him. I don't know how quick the turnaround will be. Obviously, like you know how it goes with first year coaches, you got to find that rhythm, you got to find those players get adjusted to campus, stuff like that. But I mean, I see nothing but success for him. He's high on discipline. He recruits high character guys, so I expect him to have honestly really good years at BC.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm wishing them all the best, and I'll be there supporting, like you know, I'm a big BC men's basketball fan, so just being able to be there as a student, now work there, and obviously attend as many games as I do is something that's special and something I enjoy. And I'm repping BC hoops right now, so I'm always repping BC basketball. I truly am. So, and one thing I liked today at his press conference was he did shout out Earl Grant and said, Earl's a great guy and he did a lot of good things right and brought in a lot of good people, and that's the truth of it at the end of the day. So I'm hoping obviously Murray is able to do the same. And like you said, he's a disciplined coach and will get those high level guys, those same people that Earl got, those high character guys into the locker room where you can obviously gel as a team and have the right leaders around. So obviously wishing him the best. And now I want to jump back to the beginning of your career in college, which right before college, obviously you played high school basketball at Word of God Christian Academy, played on some really good AAU teams. I know we talked about in the office, right? Like you said, the John Wall AAU team you played on. You played against a lot of really good competition there. What was your experience like playing high school basketball and also AAU basketball in North Carolina?
It was great. I was super underrated, super under recruited, so it was hard too at the same time. The experiences that I've had in high school kind of match and are really similar to my college career. Um, Started off JV, worked my way up to varsity. By the time I was a senior, didn't really play varsity until my sophomore, like towards the end of my sophomore year. So yeah, like it's similar. It was similar. Played great players. Like we played Jalen Green. Trying to think who else we played that year.
Eves Macy,
Namari Burnett. Like a lot of teams. We played Prolific. We played Hillcrest. We played uh just tons of talent. Being because we were a national school. We played a national schedule. So we played all over the U.S. So great experience. Wouldn't trade that for anything. And then to go on the AAU side, playing under John Wall, someone that I looked up to since I was a little kid, was awesome. Being able to take pictures with him, talk to him, and seeing like how he transitioned from star to role player to then like off of the court, like being a broadcast, going into different stuff after his playing career was over. But while I was at Team Wall, he was in his prime, and like being able to go to those games and seeing him play was I mean it was insane. He's a great player and a great mentor.
yeah. He terrific basketball player. So just to be able to learn from him is very special. And you could see, like you said, there's some parts of his game, his emphasis on, obviously getting out in transition. That's something you could see in your game as well. So you can obviously see he's had an impact on your ability to play the game. And have you stayed in touch with him over the years now? You,
For
you guys still
sure,
talk?
for sure.
That's awesome. That's cool though. It's great. A great person to know, obviously, and a guy that obviously had a terrific NBA career, and a guy that's now in broadcasting, right? So he's got a great role doing that now too. So I've always been a big fan of John Wall. I'm an LA Clippers fan, so when they got him, I was psyched. I feel like we didn't really give him enough
Yeah,
opportunities to
opportunity.
flourish at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, he obviously made the most of his NBA career, and now just to be on TV, still be able to mentor some of the guys that he coached and played, that played on his AAU teams is really cool. And one thing I want to mention is in high school, right, which you played, like you just said, some really good teams, right? A national schedule you guys played. And at the same time, while you're doing all that and you're traveling for games, you were still a very, very good student in the classroom, which isn't easy for guys, right? In college, high school, doesn't matter the level. It's not easy to be as locked into the classroom and on sports because you're traveling a lot. You're missing some classes. It's tough to get obviously homework in on time while being a three-sport athlete in high school, which is very, very impressive. How did you balance playing three sports while prioritizing your dreams of one day playing college basketball?
It's pretty much just the same as college. Like you have workouts, you have stuff like that. It's not as time consuming because in high school there's only like a certain amount of hours or certain amount of time we've had for the gym. So and all the seasons, like none of the seasons really overlapped when I was playing. So yeah, it's pretty much the same as college, just having that time management, making sure you might have to work ahead one week because you're having a busy schedule on the road. You might have to even do work on the road. Like I even had to do that this year, which is crazy as a master's student. But yeah, like just balancing just having that balance of work on the court and work off the court has always been something that I was pretty much raised on. Just making sure you have to get your work done in the classroom in order to even play the sport. So that's how I thought about it. Some weeks, like what I said, I'd have to turn work in a little earlier, and then some weeks I might have to turn in right when it's due. So yeah, but as long as the work got done, that's pretty much how that's
Mhm.
pretty much what made me happy.
And you're almost done now with school, right? You're finishing up
Yep.
your master's degree. You'll be graduating in May. So just about a month and change from now, graduation, will be right around the corner and you'll be graduating with a master's degree. Very, very impressive from BC. And that's something that you'll always have, right? At the end of the day, right? Like you said, you prioritize your education in high school, college as well, even in the transfer portal, right? You saw BC's name and you're like, you know what? Great academics, great conference in the ACC. Took a chance on BC, and now you got a master's from BC, which is awesome. In high school, which I saw today, I think it was on your profile on it could have been South Dakota's. You were the Luke Sasser Award winner for the best GPA on your high school basketball team. So it obviously proves you had a very a big emphasis on education growing up, and that continued from high school to college. And now, obviously, at BC, you got just about a month left from now. Like I said, will be the end of classes, and graduation will be right around the corner. For the last part of the master's degree at BC in sports administration, you also have an internship to do. You did that this semester with Josh Beekman. What was that experience like getting to know Josh Beekman and then, working with him on your internship?
Well, it was great. It was great. Learned a lot from him. He was kind of on the other side with football, but he talked about how he transitioned from the NFL to his day to day life now, and yeah, it was impressive. He's a great person. I worked certain events like the women's basketball game where I was like checking in alumni to their to the nutrition room for like their meetings and their meet and greets and all that stuff. So not only was I working for him for an internship, but I was also making connections with alumni. Got to talk to a lot of the alumni before and after the Syracuse win, so that was that was kind of special. A lot of the alumni were like, "Yeah, good win. Let's keep this energy going." Some of the alumni didn't even know about it, so they were like, "Oh wow, congratulations! Like, yeah, good win against Syracuse." So yeah, it was definitely fun, and then even being in the ticket office with you guys, like just socializing and stuff. It's definitely fun and really appreciated not only you and all the guys who work in the ticket office, but also Josh Beekman for even giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, and like you just said, being in the ticket office with us, which I know could be a lot of times, we're a loud group, but we always enjoyed Spencer, Ben, Mike, me, all of us in the ticket office. I don't want to just name a few because the entire ticket office, we always enjoyed talking with you, Kaya Henderson as well from the women's basketball
For
team.
sure.
Always a pleasure talking with you guys, and being able to know Josh Beekman is a great connection, which I didn't know Beeks as well until recently, till I got this job at BC. So July of 2024. But I remember when I started, Spencer Bono was saying he's the best guy to know because Beeks you can go to about advice playing wise, right? Like you can go and talk to them
Mhm.
about the game and be like, oh, I had a tough play. I had a great game. He can obviously, reflect on those games with you because he's played, at the highest of levels, in the NFL. You could bounce career ideas off of him, school ideas off of him. He's a great guy to know. And I'm sure, just like myself, just like Spencer and the rest of the ticket office and the whole BC community, we're going to be rooting for you every step of the way. And I would suggest staying in touch with Josh. He's a great guy to know, as you know.
Yep, definitely plan to.
Absolutely. And so now, want to jump from now high school to walking on at UNC Asheville. You had, like I said, a very unique college experience and one that not many people can talk to. Walking on, having a dream of college basketball come true by being a walk on is a very unique story. What was the process like trying to walk on at UNC Asheville?
Difficult. It was difficult, I'll tell you that. It was during COVID, so the year got shut down and all of that. And then so my original plan was to go play post grad at Hillcrest Prep in Arizona. But the coach ended up leaving and resigning. So I didn't really have any opportunities. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just train this whole entire year, kind of take like a gap year and just train and then try to go junior college or something like that. Um, Ended up getting the call from UNC Asheville. Let me backtrack. They were recruiting me my whole entire senior year.
Mhm.
Um, they were already like fully signed. Roster was already um full, so they gave me a PWO, which is a preferred walk on, to come in, and then they said the following year I'd be on scholarship. It didn't happen, but that's how that process went. As I said earlier, I was super under recruited out of high school. I only had like I really didn't have any D1 offers. Had a couple D2 offers, wanted to go a little higher, so that's what I did. I transferred in mid-year. This was right when they made the rule during COVID where you can transfer mid-year and be immediately eligible. So I did that, and yeah, that's the rest was history. So
Mhm. And you bet on yourself, right? Being
for sure.
a guy as a preferred walk on, right? You're betting on yourself. You're going there, not knowing if you have a guaranteed roster spot or not, but you're betting on yourself to be able to make the team and then see where things go from there. And being able to go from there to a junior college, then everything down the line, right? Like that set you up. That's a big part of your journey is, getting on to the team at UNC Asheville, which walking onto any program is very, very impressive, especially as a guy, like you said, that didn't have any D1 offers coming out of high school. You had some D2 offers. To be able to walk onto a D1 program is a major success, something you should be very proud of. And I do want to mention as well, you had your first college bucket versus Charleston Southern. I saw. What was that experience like, getting your first bucket in a college game?
Um, I'll just be honest. I wasn't really happy about it at all. I was excited. Yeah, I got my first college bucket, but like honestly expected more. Or I it's either I know this might sound crazy, but it's either I expected more or like expected not to play at all. But when I did get it, obviously I was super grateful. It was during COVID, so as I said earlier, there was no like fans or anything, so there wasn't like that genuine like reaction of a walk on or someone who's like really not supposed to play score. So I mean, I was grateful for the first points, but as far as like being excited, I can't even lie. I was not excited. Honestly, I was just like, cool. I just, yeah, I just went on to the next game.
That's fair. That's a fair way to look at it. And you obviously stayed locked in on your journey, right? And you end up
Sure.
leaving UNC Asheville, which probably is a tough decision, right? Going to play to JUCO because when you go play to JUCO, you obviously have to still put up very good numbers to jump back and go to Division One. When you went to go play at Gulf Coast State, did you always have the intention of jumping back and playing D1 afterwards?
Yes, I definitely did. I wanted to honestly jump back D1 after my first year, a lot of JUCO kids, especially like around that time, were getting recruited like over the summer. So like a lot of people would literally just jump in, like go to a camp, which I got invited to that year, like a really high profile JUCO camp, and then try to go D1 right out of there. Like maybe I've seen kids commit to schools in July and be eligible by August. I've seen kids literally commit in August and go straight from their JUCO, move all their stuff and go straight over to D1. So um, that's kind of what I was expecting to do. I ended up tearing my meniscus during a workout in June. So I had no choice but to stay again. I missed all the camps. I missed everything and it wasn't trying to rush back into a D1. I had like SFA and Charleston State looking at me at that time. So I ended up bypassing it and then just staying for that extra year, my second year, where I really really flourished. I had a great year. Averaged 7 more points, averaged like 2 more assists, 2 more rebounds on better shooting. So maybe that was the God's plan for me to have a better year and then come out with more options.
Mhm. I would definitely say it was God's plan at the end of the day because you never want to tear your meniscus, but it's part of your journey, right? Coming back, having a setback like that, right? We have an injury. It makes you only stronger facing adversity, right? And that's part of your journey at the end of the day. And I'm sure there are a lot of tough moments over the years, right? When you're playing college basketball, there's going to be a good game, a good play. There's going to be bad plays. There's going to be bad games. When you face adversity, right, it's only going to make you stronger. So when you face, that next challenge, you're ready to go and you're stronger and you're smarter from those last experiences. So being able to stay that second year, like you said, you made a big jump. You averaged 13 points a game your first year as a freshman at Gulf Coast State, and then you jumped the next year 7 more points per game on better shooting splits, more minutes per game as well. Like you got a big step up in that second year there. And how difficult of a decision was it for you to leave your home state, right? Because you were at UNC Asheville, you're in North Carolina, and now you're going to play in Florida. Was that a tough transition there for you?
It was kind of a tough transition, but I like Florida more than North Carolina. So once I saw the area, honestly, I was a little skeptical because it's JUCO. That's the part I was skeptical about. I'm like, man, I don't really want to have to go JUCO. I definitely wasn't planning on doing it for 2 years, but uh, it just made it easier knowing when I got around those guys that I'm still cool with today. They made it really easy for me to enjoy the experience. All those guys, literally, I'd say about 75 to 80% of those guys that I played with during JUCO, I'm still in contact with them now. So they made it super easy for me to transition, and it's pretty much been like that every school I've been to.
Mhm. You made great connections along the way. And one thing you mentioned already was the connections you made through your internship with Josh Beekman, right? Like you're a very outgoing, personable person, and everyone can see, you're a genuine guy that's obviously going to hustle too. You're going to still try hard. You're going to grind. People like you as a player because of that, but then as a person as well, you're very outgoing and down to earth. So, I'm not shocked at all that you've made, great connections over the years and kept those. And then, so you end up leaving, right, Gulf Coast State, and you go to Northwestern State, which is in Louisiana, correct, right?
Yep.
And you end up going to play college basketball there for a year, jump back in the Division 1 level. Was that a challenging experience for you going back from you're excelling at a JUCO and then you're going back to D1? Was that a tough jump there for you?
It was tough at first, playing with guys that are more talented and you get less touches, obviously. But as time went on and as we started gelling and stuff like that, it became easier and easier to play with those guys. And it ended up being actually really easy towards the end of the season. So at first it was tough, but as you get experience with anything, obviously it gets easier and easier the more you do it. So that's how that transition went.
Mhm. And what part of your game would you say developed the most there? I looked at your stats today and you filled the stat sheet 10 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals per game. Your defense showed up at every stop of the way of where you were in college. You obviously played a lot of minutes too. And what part of your game would you say you developed the most there at Northwestern State?
My playmaking. That's where my playmaking really took a huge leap up. At JUCO, I still playmake, but I didn't have to do it as much because I had more of a scoring role, more of a more of a like take over the game role.
Whereas at Northwestern State, we had shooters, we had guys who could take over a game, and also some guys ended up getting hurt. So then it made it to where I had to also take over the game. So it made me like a more well-rounded guard, um, averaging like 9, 4, and 4, like we said, or 10, 4, and 4. I
Mhm.
was really able to really showcase my playmaking ability, and that's where that was like my biggest leap from JUCO to Northwestern State.
Mhm. It definitely, yeah, you filled the stat sheet, like I said. And one thing I saw that was really interesting too, you averaged 31 minutes per game played, which is in the college game, right? You're playing three-fourths of the game, 31 out of 40
Mhm.
minutes. How much work at the time, and then obviously now, did you put into conditioning? To be able to play 31 minutes in Division One basketball isn't easy, especially when you're point guard, you're pushing the floor each and every possession. It's not easy at all, especially when you're playing defense as hard as you are. How much work did you put in back then into conditioning?
The same amount that I put in now. I take conditioning very seriously. Um, uh, Obviously, you have to, be energized in order to be a two-way, and that's what I model my game after. I model my game after being a two-way. So you can't really save energy. When you're a two-way, you gotta maybe you gotta go down and score, and then you gotta come down and guard, and then come back and guard the best player. So always took conditioning serious. Always wanted to be on top of that. So not necessarily had I didn't necessarily put in any more work than what I did. Um but yeah, it's pretty much been the same everywhere I've been.
Absolutely, yeah. And you could see that you take the condition seriously when you're watching you play. It could show up in the stat sheet, but obviously the eye test as well when you're watching. And one thing I noticed too in that last game of the year, which now we're jumping back to BC, but against Notre Dame, when you guys are pressing, right? You and Fred mentioned in the post-game interview after you beat Notre Dame on senior day, that was something you guys are pushing for, right? Was to press more during the game. Obviously, it's going to tire you out more, but it worked. And I know you and Fred said you talked to Coach Steve Smith about that, right? That you guys wanted to let the dogs out, essentially, is what I
Yeah.
think the phrase you guys used, and it ended up working, right? And you're making yourself work harder, but obviously it worked out, right? And tell me about that, telling the coaching staff, right? Like, hey, I think we should press this game and it'll work. And obviously it did.
Well, me and Fred were really pushing for that the whole year. We wanted to press and be all up in guys' faces, kind of like how Virginia is. Not to that extent, but we definitely wanted to press with the ball more. So we brought it to Coach Steve's attention, and then we got together with EG and we're like, hey man, like this is our like this could potentially be our last game, which ended up being our last game. So he was like, you know what? Like I'm letting the dogs loose. Like y'all, you guys go out there. If you guys think you can press, and then do it. And we did, and it ended up being successful. And I mean that game, I played 37 minutes too. So and I was energetic. I fouled out, which is crazy, but yeah, yeah, it was a fun game, and it was. I mean, we were pressing and got a steal, and I threw a lob to Fred. Like, it was. We were excited of doing it, and I wish we would have did a little bit more of that. That's probably the only thing that like I regret we didn't do. I wish we like kind of had a little bit more games of pressing and really like trapping and doing that dime. We did like a little diamond press too, a little bit that game. So I wish we used that a little bit more, but yeah, that was fun.
I appreciate bringing that insight in, right? Like I was
Sure.
there, so watching it happen was awesome, but hearing your insight there firsthand is special. So thank you for talking about that. And I'm sorry for jumping from school to school. We're going left
No,
and
you're
right here.
good.
Uh,
You're
we'll,
good.
we'll we'll jump back now to South Dakota, which was your last stop before BC. So that was your fourth school, and then you jumped to BC. Obviously, after that, at South Dakota, you were the primary focus on offense. You obviously played great defense as well. You reached double digit scoring, I saw, in 29 of 33 games for the Coyotes, including 20 or more points in about half the games that season as well. How gratifying was it for you to have a breakout year all around? Offensively, defensively, everything was excelling there. And obviously, you took that momentum into BC as well. But how exciting and gratifying was it having that breakout season?
It was amazing. Honestly, it wasn't expected though. I kind of went in there expecting the same role, kind of like that I had here. We had a really good scorer named Caleb Stewart, who was averaging like 20 last year. He ended up battling injuries, like nagging injuries throughout the year. He did something to his knee, and then it was something else. I think he like messed up his finger, and then he like broke his toe or hurt his toe really bad. So he was battling injuries throughout the year. So I was like the second, maybe third option on that team. And once we realized like, hey, these injuries are really nagging him, I had to step up, and that's where that scoring role kind of came in. So yeah, it wasn't expected, which makes it even better. I wasn't expecting to have like a crazy breakout scoring year that year. I definitely expected to get defensive player of the year, so I'm glad I got that. But overall, like the offense and the defense clicking, it was amazing
And you were ready for that role, right? Like
for
every
sure.
step of the way, whenever your name was called, you were ready to
Ready
play and
for it.
give it your all, And like you said, Defensive Player of the Year in the Summit League, very impressive. How much of an honor was it to get that award?
Oh, it was a big honor. It was a close race. It wasn't like I just easily won. It was a close race. Honestly, all of the awards that I got that year were all close. Between making the first and second team, um, making the newcomer team, making the defensive team, and well, not the defensive team, but winning defensive player of the year. So it was all close, and it was an honor for them, for not only the league but the coaches to vote me as DPOY.
100%. And you deserved it, truly, right? I looked at those numbers, and 1.9 steals a game with all the offense you were doing and the playmaking as well is very impressive. And you led that team in scoring, assists, steals per game, basically doing it all. A jack of all trades point guard. And that'll bring my next question, which you were also fifth in the country that season in free throw attempts that season. 253 free throws, 7.7 free throws per game. How did you get to the line so frequently that season? Was it a conscious effort of yours to say, I want to get to the line and play more aggressively?
Oh yeah, for sure. And so we ran certain sets that kind of allowed me to do that. A lot of crack screens, setting screens at a certain angle to get me downhill, stuff like that. Um, and also, I feel like they were a little bit more fair with the whistle. I feel like it's different, like being like a mid-major team going up to a high mid, well, playing for a mid-major team and going up to a high major team. Obviously the whistle will be different, depending on like what team you're at and stuff like that, which I'm not gonna blame the rest, but we really didn't get the whistle like that as much as we wanted to this year. So yeah, but last year it was definitely easier to draw those fouls, get downhill. But it was definitely an emphasis, a part of my game to get some line and get as many free points as I could.
Absolutely. Eight a game is very impressive. That's four and a half. You obviously, each and every time you got the ball in your hands, you either playmaking, looking to score, and basically doing it all out there, especially defensively too. You had a very impressive year there, and then you also made the jump to BC, and you already gave the insight of what it was like in the transfer portal. And what sold you on BC? I know you said the academics, but also what was it like? You're talking to Earl Grant, talking to Tyler Futrell, talking to all these guys that were part of that team. They're trying to sell you on BC. What was that, main thing that brought you to BC? Because I'm sure you were highly touted there in the portal after a great year there at South Dakota.
I wanted to change the culture. I wanted to go somewhere where, kind of like taking a chance on myself, like what we talked about earlier. Taking a chance to go at JUCO, taking a chance to leave Northwestern State, taking a chance to leave USD. So I wanted to take that chance, and uh, EG was, excuse me, EG was a person that kind of matched my mold. The gritty, not pretty. Rolling your sleeves, getting to work, and then also the fans really brought me in really well. Super supportive. Just everything about it. It's just as a whole, as a whole, it was just the right experience for me and the right choice for me. As at the time, that's what I thought was.
Absolutely. And like I said, just to be able to have your energy and watch you play live was awesome. And I know you mentioned already, you wish the team had a different outcome this year, and I completely understand you on that. But I loved watching you play this year. I loved watching the team play this year. I was there like you saw me, right? Every game right there courtside.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I was there supporting no matter what, right? At the end of the day. And that's a special thing about BC, right? Is there are fans that are there that'll show up, whether it's a 9 o'clock game on a Tuesday night, Saturday at 12. they'll be there, right? And they'll be loud as well. And you brought obviously some exciting wins at home this year, a couple come from behind wins, which you could obviously look at back at that and say there were some good memories right from this season. And even though I know you guys want to win more games, and every team in the country, right, besides the team that wins it all, is going to want to win more ball games, and that's understandable. But there were really good memories this year, and this was a great building year for you as well, right? Like you said, it's part of your journey, and now brings me to my next question now, right? Like, what's your future in basketball? I know you're training still, and you have hopes of continuing to play at the professional level, correct?
Yes, sir. Definitely plan on continue to train. Might go to a couple pro days out in Vegas, and then definitely plan on playing overseas in Europe.
hmm That'd be awesome. And I'll be watching, obviously, from afar. If there are games that I can watch online, I'd obviously do so. And one day, I know Spencer and I both said it, Ben as well in the office, would love to see you play over there in Europe. And what's your experience like now training? Is there one part of your game you're trying to work on, in the off season and before these pro days?
Yeah, definitely shooting. Just working on shooting all around, and then playmaking with the opposite hand, playmaking with my left hand, getting downhill, making certain reads with the left. Working on that wraparound pass with the left, so I can do it on both sides. So that's the main things I'll be working on this offseason.
And do you watch your film back like from all the levels, right? You played a lot of different games, a lot of different schools. So you obviously have a lot of film. Are you looking back at things saying, okay, I could have done something differently here, and then the next time, obviously in the game, I'm going to be able to make that adjustment. Are you looking at some of those things now? I know obviously now your college career is over with, but are you still looking at film to see what ways you can try to adapt and grow your game?
For sure, for sure. I feel like that's a must. That's probably one of the main things that I do is look at film, see what I could have did in certain situations, what moves I could have did, so when it happens again and I'm in that situation, I know what to do.
Mhm. Absolutely. And you obviously had an illustrious college career. You really did. A storied college career being a walk-on, playing at five different schools, playing at a JUCO, jumping back to D1, making it all the way up to BC, right? Now you're playing Power Four basketball. Like you had a very special run all of your college journey. And now I know something you've already mentioned as well, and I saw it on Instagram as well. You mentioned now you're starting from the beginning again, right? When you're
For
leaving
sure.
college and now you're trying to go play in the pros, you're jumping to the next level, just like you did from high school to playing at UNC Asheville and walking on. You had to bet on yourself. What's your, mindset now heading into the next step of your career?
The same exact thing how I came in. I came in to prove that I belonged in Power Four. I'm gonna come in and prove that I belong either in the NBA or the Euro Cup. So that's what I plan on doing. That's what the whole back to square one. Trying to do what I did all over again. But I've been doing it my whole entire career, so I'm always gonna bet on myself. I'm always gonna um, just have that edge that maybe which is what we talked about. The adversity it prepares you for moments like this. So definitely excited to see what comes out of this. Um yeah, and we'll just see what happens.
You keep your chip on your shoulder though, and you obviously play like that. Obviously, when you're on the court, you could see that, and then I'm sure in training as well. You're obviously always grinding and looking to get better at each facet of the game, and that you have a journey that is unlike anybody others, right? Walking on and betting on yourself each and every step of the way. So continue to obviously have that mindset, and I'm looking forward to seeing where your journey takes you. I'm going to be rooting for you from afar. Like I said, if you're playing over in Europe, I'll be watching games here, on the computer. And then one day, I'd love to see you play professionally, whether it's in Europe, whether it's here, like you mentioned, playing in the NBA, playing in the G League, playing in the Euro Cup, one of those leagues there. Obviously, playing at the next level is an honor no matter where you're at, but being able to see you play in person, would be great. And one last question I want to ask is, who is your basketball GOAT? That's something that Spencer and I were talking in the office today. I was saying, I'm coming up with questions for Chase, and that was his question of you. He wants to know who is your basketball greatest of all time?
LeBron James. He's the greatest. He's the greatest player to me. To do what he's doing at the age that he is, and to have that longevity of 20 plus years, uh, is amazing by itself. But I don't even. He was also playing in the Olympics too, so he'd go from championship straight over to Olympics, maybe have a month off and then go right back to the regular season. And to do that in the prime of your career over a 20-year span, I don't think we will ever see that again. So
Mhm.
that's why I feel as though he's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, if you look at his career, being at the height of the game, right? Being the best player in the game for as long as he has, and still being the age he's at right now. Is he 40 now, right?
Yeah.
And still being putting up, elite, excellent numbers is crazy. To being in the league 2 decades and more now, and still being at the top of your game, and still being a guy that no matter who you're playing against, the other team has to be ready for LeBron James any given night, even at his current age. And one last question I want to ask you, Chase: which NBA player do you enjoy watching the most right now?
Right now, I'd say it's Shea. A lot of people don't like the way he plays, but I enjoy it. I've been able to actually catch a couple of the Celtics games in person. I really like Peyton Pritchard. I really like the way that he plays. He's quick, quick guard, really good handle, and can shoot it really well. So, as far as just like sitting down and watching, I'd say Shea. But as far as like actually like going and seeing a game in person. I'd say Peyton Pritchard.
That's a good answer. My mom would love that. That's her favorite Celtics player, favorite player in the NBA. So she'll
Yeah,
be really excited to hear that. Uh,
yeah.
but thank you so much, Chase. I don't want to take up any more of your time. This was an honor to have you on today. It was an honor to watch you play at BC. Congratulations on an excellent college career. Your entire journey is impressive. Each and every step of the way, you found a way to excel no matter where you were at, no matter your situation. Anytime your name was called on, you excelled. So there's a lot to be proud of in your college, career and everything you've done so far. And obviously now with the next step, I'm wishing you all the best. Congratulations on finishing your master's degree. You'll be done at BC with a master's in the next month. Congratulations on that. A lot to be proud of, Chase, and I'm wishing you all the best in the future. Thank you again for your time, my friend.
Same for you. Appreciate you.